Let's talk about some general tips about how we're going to tackle proofs. The biggest thing that I can suggest is to always do some scratch work. Like I said, it is a struggle. It's going to be a process. You're going to need to try and try and try again. And there's just no way around it. You're going to need to do a lot of work. But once you start getting some experience with it, it'll get a lot easier. Another tip is going to be to always err on the side of writing too much. When you're working on your proofs, at the early level, it's common for students to write too little. You're kind of assuming things because it seems obvious to you, but like we just saw, not everything that looks obvious is true. So it's always best to write a little bit more, right? It's always best to add a little justification there that maybe you think you didn't need. If you've ever read a book and you're reading a page and then you've been there for 30 minutes and you realize you've been on the same page rereading a certain paragraph, you want to avoid that for your reader. It's better to write 3 sentences that the reader will only read once than to write 1 sentence and have them reread it 5 times to understand it. So it's always best to try to write a little bit more. You also want to clearly state your assumptions, your theorems, your facts, even your intentions. There's different methods of proving. You may have already encountered direct proofs, contrapositives, induction. There's different methods for proving, and usually it'll help if you just state what method you're using, right? That'll make it clear to the reader what to expect next, right? There's certain rules to the different methods, right? So if you state the method, they'll be aware of what comes next. And as you're writing these proofs, think as if you were trying to convince one of your classmates, right? Somebody that's in the same position as you. They probably have the same background as you, right? Try to write so that you can convince them, right? If you feel like something isn't clear to you, then it probably won't be clear to one of your readers. So always try to think about your audience as you're writing your proofs. When we're writing these proofs, we want to write more. Always try to write more, but don't add useless information, right? Sometimes we add a fact that's related to the work that we're doing, but it has nothing to do with the proof. Sometimes when we're talking, if you're doing a proof using rational numbers tend to be written in lowest terms, right? If you have a fraction, you tend to write it in lowest terms. If that's irrelevant to your proof, don't include it, right? If you don't need the fact that the fraction is in lowest terms for your proof, you don't need to include it. Just write the things that are relevant to the proof. And lastly, something that's going to help you a lot usually is going to be pictures. Right, so like in that problem that we were doing, how many of you would have known what we were talking about if I hadn't shown you the picture of the circles? Did that make sense to you originally? Connecting dots on a circle with straight lines? Did you know, oh, we have to connect all the dots to each other? Do we have to just connect a few dots? How many dots are we talking about? Using pictures will help you get a clearer idea of what you're doing, right? If you think about the case with the 6 dots, I don't know how you're going to figure out there's 31 regions on there without the picture. That was a very complicated picture. Pictures are going to help you and your reader understand what's going on, but pictures can be a little bit deceiving at times because when you're writing a proof, usually you're dealing with a very general case. Right? You're trying to prove things for every case, right? For every scenario. Pictures tend to be very specific. If you're drawing the picture of a parabola, you're drawing a picture of a specific parabola, not all parabolas, right? So a picture is not always a proof. So your proof has to be solid without the picture. A picture only helps you understand what's going on, right? It's like an analogy.